Hello, I'm Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to cut your quilt binding on the straight grain. Now, straight grain binding is used on not only quilt blankets, but pot holders, table runners, and many other quilting projects. So let's go over what straight grain is, okay? Now, when you cut your fabric, you have two raw edges here. The way you purchased it in the store. This is the ends that they cut off. You have your selvages here and then your raw edges here. A straight grain goes from raw edge to raw edge, and it also goes from selvage edge to selvage edge. So this is straight and this is straight. Bias cut binding is cut on a 45-degree angle this way. So if you want to know how to cut bias cut binding, watch my video, Bias Cut Binding. Now, when you purchase your fabric, you want to make sure you wash it. And the reason why is if you sew a dark color to a really light color, and then you put it in the washing machine, those dyes, those dark colors, will run onto the light fabrics and ruin your project after you've put all that work into it. So pre-wash your fabric. But before you put it in the washing machine, you want to do a simple zigzag stitch on the raw edges of your fabric. That's where they cut it off at the bolt. So zigzag it, then wash it, put it in the dryer, give it a really good pressing with your iron, and then fold the selvage edge to the selvage edge. Okay? Now it's ready to cut. Okay, so I want to go over a couple of little rules. Right-handed people, you're going to start here on your right side for this first step. Left-handed people, you're going to start to your left for this first step. Okay, now before I start cutting, I want to show you something I have on the back of my ruler. This little round disc here. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's almost clear. It's kind of opaque and it's a little sticky. These stick on the back of your ruler. They don't come with your ruler. You have to buy these. So they're to help prevent your rulers from slipping too much when you are cutting. Now it can still slip a little bit if you're not going about it in the right way, but this helps to relieve a lot of heartache for me. Okay, so I'm going to lay it again. Now this edge here is going to go on the folded line of my fabric, and the folded line is the one nearest to you. You want to have your selvage edges far out away from you. Okay, so left-handed people, remember, you're starting on the left. Righties, you're over to the right. Now, one of the rules that I follow is I place my hand here, then open my rotary cutter. Now, I'm not going to really cut. I'm going to leave it closed, but you're going to have your rotary cutter open. Then you're going to place it here. Press firmly down on the ruler and slowly cut. Then lift your hand before you get past your fingertips with the rotary cutter. Lift your hand, cut some more, lift your hand, and do another cut. Okay? Now you've got those zigzag stitches removed off of one end. Now, righties, you're still over on the right side, so righties, grab the right end of your fabric. Lefties, lift up the left side and flip your fabric over. Okay? Smooth out your edges. Now, right-handed people, you're now going to be at the left side with your ruler. Left-handed people, you're going to be at the right side now. Okay, now, looking back at the ruler again, quilt binding is cut in a variety of widths. The average is probably 2.5. Now I cut mine a little bit wider than probably the average. It's because of the way I put mine on. So once you've read your instructions and you determine how wide your binding needs to be, put a little sticky note or a piece of tape on the measurement line that you want to use. Once you determine that, take that line you marked and lay it on the raw edge of your fabric. Okay, then once you have it all lined up, place your hand here again, take your rotary cutter and cut, lift your hand, cut, lift your hand, and cut. Okay, now you've got one strip of binding all cut out. Now you need to cut these selvage edges off. So take a ruler, line up your two selvage edges together, and then line up your ruler on the raw edge. Okay, then take your rotary cutter and cut. Okay, now you have one strip of binding to be used. Now you probably are going to need more than one strip. So I'm going to show you how to put your strips together. So take the ends of two different pieces of binding, bring the right sides together, put a couple of pins in there to hold it together. Then do a 1/4 inch seam along there. Now you'll notice this isn't sitting really flat right now. Whenever you stitch, it's always a little puckery. That's why it's always important to press your seams. So give this end a little burst of steam. Press it really, really flat. Then open that seam up and press it again with your iron. Press all your seams open. Then one more step, fold it in half and press the entire length of all your strips. And then you're now ready to put this binding on your project. Well, I hope that was helpful to you. Now my next project is going to be to make this really pretty autumn leaves table runner. This is great if you don't have a lot of time. There's not a whole lot of time spent in this one. It's fun to make and it really is pretty. I've got these large leaves all over it, some decorative ribbon, and I also used my straight edge binding on it. So make sure you understand how to make your binding. So to keep informed on all my future videos, click on subscribe. It's those bold letters down there at the bottom of your YouTube screen if you're watching it from your PC. On your iPad, it may be off to the side or up on top. You click on that and YouTube will prompt you for your email address. Enter that, and then the next time I have a new video, YouTube will send you a really brief email with a big button in the center. You click on that and it'll take you directly to my next video. I'm Cheryl. I'm really glad you came to my sewing room. See you next time, and happy sewing.